Sing it.
Wallabies.
We're going to sing about wallabies. Not ready for this. Not ready. Talk about yourself. Here we go. If you want to be my brother. I'll put it in, I've entered it, it's going in. Oh, for the love of God, let's go. Who's Purple Way?
718. Imagine that.
Right, everyone, okay, for you people out there, thank you very much for your patience. As you can tell, this is going to be a very unique aspect of karaoke this evening. Get your cameras ready, because don't be rude, half the audience watching this are now on the stage. Okay. So, it's like this. I'm going here. Where's the beginning? Okay, get ready. Right, everyone. Because it's got a weird intro. Ready? Look here. It's like a musical, isn't it? It's great. Ready? 2, 3, 4. Too late. My time has come. Since humans down my spine, body's taking all the time. Goodbye, everybody. I've got to go. Gotta leave it all behind in the place. Mama. Easy come, easy go. Will you let me go? Yes, yes, no. Will you let me go? Let it go. 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 Mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has the devil put aside for me. For me. For me. Just talk about yourself. I'm going to get this all ready. We'll work right off the screen. I can't wait to see you here tomorrow. You've got lots of things to do. But before we all go away, I have to tell you, once you've done all your stuff during the day, you can join me for a night of disco! Right, so just keep me off. Be real quiet, okay? Thank you very much. Good night, baby.
So I'm in there somewhere.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Robert Llewellyn. I've already got your telephone. Ooh, where? Where to do it?
First, you can do it anywhere you like.
I do it there. Oh, that looks vaguely like I wrote it when I was 12. Here we go.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
There you go, you can have that.
Okie dokie.
Good morning, everybody. Oh, look at that, amazing. I'd stupidly said this morning, have the ticket sales been reasonable? They went, well, yeah, it was sold out. Is that reasonable? I went, well, that isn't very good. You could have done better. Fantastic to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, it's an amazing turnout, isn't it? It is difficult. I don't want to go on about it too much, but it is difficult when we've had to accept, we've discussed it quite a bit in the last year, that next year is the 30th anniversary of Red Dwarf. Extraordinary that it's been going that long, and we don't know. There's no official announcement. We don't know anything for sure, but there is a lot of discussion about series 13 and 14. Sir, I hope we're not chased by any genetically engineered life forms, unless they're very slow moving. Quickly, sir, run for your life! We can't quite run it. Chris is very fit, and Danny, and Craig, they're all very fit. I've got a bit of a dicky knee. Actually, Danny's got a bad leg. Craig's lower back, and Chris had a bit of a football injury. Ugh. Doesn't like to complain, but I'm in agony 24/7. So yeah, no, it was enormous fun. It was ridiculous. I was actually dreading. So the year before we did series 11 and 12, I was dreading it. So I was just thinking, because I don't do acting. I mean, Craig is acting all the time, Dan is acting all the time, Chris doesn't really do acting, and I thought, I don't do acting, I don't know how to do acting, I can't remember lines, I don't do that, I've done a lot of television, but not acting type stuff. I learnt early on that it was a bad idea. And then immediately we were on set together, it was just like, it was like being with your best mates from school who you got in trouble with, and you suddenly all meet up again, and we get on so well. There's the head lighting cameraman, Ed Moore, all the way through series 11 and 12 was taking pictures on a really flashy, cool digital camera. I don't know, what was that? I don't know what make it is, but it doesn't make a noise. It goes, it's like that. And he was so good. He's got fantastic black and white pictures of us rehearsing and in costume and mucking about. And they're all, 90% of them are us sort of bending over laughing so much because we're just having such a good time, which is a good sign that we get on. Quite often, my favourite one is Chris, Dan and I just in hysterical laughter, and Craig walking away going, hey, hate to tell you, because he has just said the most inappropriate phrase that any human being has ever uttered. Profoundly offensive on every level you can imagine, but unfortunately very funny. Anyway, what I'd love is if you ask questions, because otherwise...
Okay, so basically we've got Alex over that side of the room here, and I'm going to be over here. So stick your hands in the air if you want a question, and we'll come running.
Oh, good.
Nice to see you again, Robert.
Hello.
Pretty simple question, actually. Which one of Crichton's characteristics do you think you have the most in common with?
Neurosis would be high. Obsession with laundry. Now, I do quite enjoy laundry, and I've been hanging my clothes out on the line recently. That's been a joy, because the weather's been nice. Heck them up. I like doing that. Vacuuming, yesterday, at the moment I'm in the middle of filming a documentary for the BBC, and we've got my electric car, a Nissan Leaf, is also used to transport my wife's dog. He's not my dog. He's the bane of my life. A lurcher, he's a lurcher. He's horribly affectionate and a delightful dog, but he just is disgusting, physically disgusting. And he gets in the back of the car. So the back of the car was a disgraceful pit of filth, and I had to get the producer and director in the back of the car, so I was vacuuming yesterday. I can't remember the make of the vacuums, I've got quite a collection. So I quite like vacuuming. It wasn't the Turbo 2000, if only. So I like vacuuming. So I just remembered I was crawling in and out of the car yesterday morning going, getting all the bits of grit in the sort of seams of the seat. Oh, it was spotless when I finished. I don't know which ones. I don't know. I mean, I am a bit of a mother hen, because my wife said that. Why are our children such a psychological mess? Because they've had two mothers. I'm quite butch as well. I can chop wood. Yeah, I could chop wood like a bloke. I had to watch a YouTube video to work out how to do it. Yes, I don't know how close I am. Not terribly. I mean, I think there are, without question, there's aspects of all our personalities that are like the characters. I mean, and it is a cliche, but you know, I have seen Craig eat curry that honestly could strip the paint off a car bonnet. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I can't. I've just like I've gone like that with the special extra hot sauce. When an Indian chef produces extra hot sauce, I mean, it was unbelievable. It burnt my finger, and then just like and Craig was necking it. And Danny has got an unimaginable amount of clothes. It's just incredible. But sometimes, so we filmed Danny and his wife and children. You'll be able to see it on Fully Charged soon, doing the school run in an electric SUV. It was very funny. But we got there like a school morning, like parents with children on a school morning. So we rang the bell, this is nothing, this is do it again, nothing. Oh God, have I got the wrong day? What's going on? Then the door suddenly opens and Danny's there in a towel. Hey, how you doing? Dad, it's a school morning. The kids are already ready. They've got their bags. You've got to ask Danny about this tomorrow. It's very funny. But it's great fun. And so, he does have a lot of different clothes. And Chris has a collection of motor vehicles and motor bicycles, not telegraph poles. But I reckon if he could get away with it, he'd have a few leaning up. He may have some discreetly secreted behind his chair. Bobby, come and look at the telegraph poles. I've got some beauties. Yeah, and I have got a lot of wires and gadgets. My office is a disgrace. It's absolutely bursting with. Well, you never know when you might need that special connector. You know, so I keep boxes of them. Some of them haven't been used since the mid-1980s. And then, was that on what day is it? Oh yeah, last night. Did anyone see the Gadget Show last night?
Yeah. No, we were singing karaoke.
I think I was on it last night with Craig. Craig's doing the Gadget Show, and we blended an old video camera of mine that had let me down. And I felt very sad as I saw it being mashed to bits by the blender. I went, oh, that's a bit of it. But it really didn't work, because otherwise I would have given, Anyway, sorry. I always feel, guilt. I do guilt all the time. Oh, I feel guilty. Sorry, another question.
Okay, we've got a question over here.
Robert, what is your favourite episode of Series 11?
Oh, God. The two problems are, one, I can't remember. And two, I don't like having favourites. But, 20K I just thought looked amazing. I think it was a hard one to start with because it was really dense ideas and complicated stuff, but it was such fun to do. But the trouble is I'm remembering things from Series 12 and I can't remember which ones are in which. Because there is an episode in Series 12 that is brilliant, that I'm very much looking forward to. I haven't seen it, so I haven't seen the finished thing. I can't remember. Crisis, I have to say, was great fun. Extremely uncomfortable, but great fun to do. Because the red suit, which was a classic, was the most uncomfortable Crichton suit I think we've ever had. Because it was brilliantly made, but it wasn't really made to move. So there was a lot of adjustment made before I could actually, and then to run in it. And I don't know if you've seen, there is an outtake of where I'm running around the desk and there's a mat that was put down, a safety mat, that was the slipperiest safety mat in history. It's so funny, health and safety. Oh, we've got to be careful of those cables. Put on one of those special safety mats over it, tread on that. Wow! Yeah, that was fun. But that was great. I mean, that was fun to do. It was great fun. And the dance sequence with Dan. Dan is such a good dancer. He can even dance badly like I do. So his impression of my dad dancing is brilliant. It's much better than I do it. It's fantastic. I actually got the chance last year to do, the year before last, at my niece's wedding, which was a proper lovely wedding with a party in the village hall. I got the chance to do some actual dad dancing in the place you're meant to do, which is at a wedding, with your children looking on in utter horror. Come on, guys, join in. And my son, who's now 23, just kept put his arm around me like you're just helping someone who's having an attack. Be all right. He gave me a drink. Just stay there. And then he went and danced with his mum, and it was lovely. She cried because she was dancing with her son. It was very sweet. We've got pictures, which he hates because he didn't want me to take pictures. Oh, I'll take a picture. Oh. Hideous dads. Sorry, going off on one there.
What sort of lines? In fact, it's my friend David's question. What are the sort of the most memorable lines that you kind of? Also, you said your memory's bad. This is not going well for me. What sort of really memorable lines, sort of over the whole series, have really stuck with you for sort of your character or other characters, please?
I mean, there are a lot. I mean, I think what I should have said before we started was, if you can ask a question that doesn't include the word remember. that's the way. Yeah. But, I mean, certainly, spin my nipple knots and send me to Alaska was a classic. That was fun. I mean, because you don't know, when you're reading those, you don't know, when we first see them and when we first come across them, you don't know what the reaction will be. You know, you can't tell. Some of the lines that have made us laugh when we're reading it have got a laugh, but haven't become classic all-time ones. So it's difficult to know. It's a banana. I mean, who would know? Character A holds up banana. Character B says, it's a banana. So, I mean, there's so many. I mean, one of my absolute favourites is, and I cannot remember which episode, but you will, which is where Rimmer's going to leave. It might have been one of the early Ace Rimmer ones, and he does his leaving farewell speech and says, over the years, I've come to think of you all as people I've met. It's so Rimmer. Which episode? Hollership, thank you. God. What would be great is if I was doing a radio interview about Red Dwarf and you were all behind me. In episode 11 of series Hollership, which also featured a list of actors, you know, Jane Horrocks. Boom, look at that, memory man. Yes. Jane Horrocks is in. Yes, so that was a classic. I can't, but there's... you sure you want to step up to red alert, sir? It does mean changing the bulb. Let me delete all these files. Oh, there's one here that's called Captain Bollocks. I love Captain Bollocks. The discussion that went on, because there was nervousness about using the word bollocks. I'm just now seeing if there's any very young people. There's a baby somewhere, and she'd be like, yes, that'd be very embarrassing. 3 years after we saw your talk, our daughter said her first word. It was bollocks. That would be bad. Yeah, but Captain Bollocks caused a lot of discussion. But we were very angry, determined that it should go in, and it's become a classic. So I'm glad about that. Bollocks. I mean, bollocks are fairly inoffensive, as long as they're kept under wraps. Yes, so that's it. But yeah, I can't. That's the sum total of my memory of all lines in 30 years of Red Dwarf.
That's 5 times you said bollocks.
Yeah. Is there another question?
Okay, we've got a question at the front left here.
Sorry.
Morning.
Hello.
Hopefully some more recent memories for you. I know yourself, Craig and Norman went down under to do the tour in Australia. How did it go?
Oh, it was lovely. No, it was very, very nice. Well, Danny didn't quite make it, but you know, he was meant to be there. No, it was wonderful. I mean, particularly Perth, because none of us had ever been to Perth before, and all the people in Perth were amazed that we'd gone, and no one ever comes to Perth. I've been to, my wife's Australian, so I've been there many times. But I've never been to Perth, and I'd always wanted to go. And I knew it was the summer in Perth. It's going to be fantastic, and we can go on the beach. And we had like a couple of days off when we were there, and it was like, that's the gap. I'm going to go on the beach, top up the old tan. And when we were in Perth, Australia had its hottest heat wave in its history ever. I mean, unbelievable temperatures, 53 degrees centigrade in the desert. That is proper hot. The whole of Australia was sweltering under this incredible heat wave, except for a tiny slice of the southwestern part of Australia that was Perth, that had 2 of its coldest, wettest days in its history. in its entire recorded history, which goes back 140 years, it's never been that way. It was at 10 degrees centigrade one day and pouring with rain. And I was going out for a walk in Perth with my proper full winter kit that I'd gone to the airport in England in January. And I was walking around Perth going, it's cold here. And all the Perth people, because they're used to such hot days, oh, isn't it brilliant, mate? It's so cool, it's great. We love it. They hadn't had rain for 97 years. But it was great. We had a brilliant time there. It was really nice. And Melbourne was fun. So we did Melbourne, Adelaide and Perth. It was really good. Yeah, no, it was nice. And Norman moaned everywhere we went. Oh, look at that. Thank you. Thank you very much. But yes, no, we had a great time. And the Aussie fans were lovely. Very, very nice bunch of people. Some of them slightly mad, but in a nice way. Yeah, no, it was good. And I flew around Australia in a private plane. But no, it wasn't mine. It's not like it's mine. But a mate of mine is a pilot, and he let me do some steering. No, it was nice. I had a good time.
Okay, we've got a question in the back left of the room over here. Hi. Did you like the episodes where you didn't have to wear the suit? Was it a relief?
No, bizarrely. I mean, I thought I would, but when it actually happened, it wouldn't. So, DNA. Yes. Yeah, I was going, oh, what a relief, I don't have to wear the makeup on the night of the recording. So I had to wear it for the pre-record. So we usually make an episode in 2 days. So we do all the pre-record special effects, explosions, all that stuff before the audience, and then we try and do as much as we can in front of the audience. So the night of the audience, I didn't have to wear makeup and I could have my supper, and they did my hair in a quite weird way. And then I went on the set, and I was really nervous. I'd never been nervous doing Red Dwarf. I was like, I can't remember. Oh my God! And I had the first scene. I had a hospital gown on, which did have the slit up the back. I had undies on, but what do? You go on the set. There's Craig. What's he going to do as you're climbing on the thing? Pull it apart. So I didn't know. I found it really because I could. Somehow I was sort of more aware of all the people in the camp. When you've got the rubber on, you're sort of vaguely protected from it. So I found it quite nerve-wracking. I mean, I think it's a very funny scene, and the double Polaroid obviously is a classic. And we did actually. Craig and I talked about that the other day because it was a picture. It wasn't just blank. What are they? Polaroids. It wasn't blank. It was a picture of something. We still don't know who it was. It was Archie. Archie from Escape. I did love that's another favourite line. Oh, don't worry, sir, that's just Archie, my penis. The amount of times I've said that No, I haven't. At dinner parties in the Cotswolds. What was that, Robert? Oh, don't worry, sir, it's just my penis. Actually, the next time I have dinner in the Cotswolds, I'm going to say it. Yes, I can't remember what I was talking about. Good. It's called a log jam. Did I answer a question? That's really short-term memory, isn't it? Yes, it was embarrassing not being covered in rubber. Which most people would find the opposite to be true. Oh, here we go. A bit of technical stuff there.
Hey Robert, your series Carpool, what's your favourite episode and are we going to be seeing any more in the future?
Carpool, it's difficult because now I do another series that's sort of spun off from that called Fully Charged that is doing so well and taking up so much time that I haven't really got time to do carpools, and I would like to. It's the logistics of doing carpool are quite difficult. So I've got lots of people who've agreed to do it, and then I've got to be there on the day they can do it and find where they live and get the cameras ready and all that stuff. And it just, I did 100 and how many episodes, I can't remember. But anyway, James Corden has taken on that mantle very well. Such an original idea, as I tweeted him. Yeah, it was quite fun. I've sent him about 20 tweets going, James, this is fantastic. I'm so glad you come up with this totally 100% original idea. He's not replied. But on the other hand, you've got to hand it to her. I mean, if I could get Michelle Obama in my car and she did some singing, that would have been very cool. And he did, and I thought it was amazing. So, you know, I'm just waiting for him to get Trump in the car. He's on the list. The greatest carpool ever. So I don't. At the moment, there's no plans to do more immediately, because the fully charged has sort of become a full-time job, and it's difficult to do it. I don't know if any, hands up who's seen Fully Charged. Oh, good. Some. Yes. I mean, it's very much about electric vehicles and the future of renewables and all that stuff. So it's not light entertainment, it's middle-aged entertainment or something. But here's an interesting thing. The average watch time on YouTube is between 30 seconds and a minute, which we kind of all knew. It's very, very short. The average watch time on Fully Charged, 6 minutes, 49 seconds. Apparently that's really important. I never thought I'd get a record. People watch your show for 6 minutes. But it's average, so it's people watch it longer. So anyway, I don't know. It's all the people at YouTube to me, look like they're about 7. So I don't know.
Okay, we've got a question right at the back here, Central.
Are there any storylines or story arcs that you wish they'd have made that never got put into production?
Oh yeah, I mean there was talk of a sort of Crichton having a baby was one of the things I always wanted, a little baby Crichton. That Crichton has to look after, and then he gets tired and fractures. I think it might have been inspired from when I had babies. So there was you know, like the idea of a little sort of glove puppety Crichton thing then becomes, and then obviously the character would grow up in you know 10 minutes. So there's suddenly a surly teenager. Hey, you Dad. But all that stuff. But yeah, no, we never did that. I can't think. But I mean, we've talked about. There was a lot of discussion once about that Starbug flew through the gay ray, which I think might have been Craig's idea. But what it really was the cat, and then Doug worried about, because he quite liked the idea, but then he went, no, this is really, really offensive. So because what it really was we flew through the camp ray, because when we've rehearsed and we're all doing it camp acting, Chris, alarmingly good. Danny, difficult to tell. Crichton, oh my God, no different. Craig being camp has just got to be seen to be believed. So there was that. There was that. The cast of Red Dwarf suddenly very, very camp. But anyway, no, we never did that. I can't remember. I mean, there's been so many sort of ideas knocking around. But I mean, Doug is brilliant at that he's very, very cautious about where he keeps himself really closed in. So, for example, I don't think it happens so much nowadays, but in the past, people would want to send him ideas or send him scripts to do for Red Dwarf, and he had a really strict policy of never looking at any of them, because if he even glanced at it and there was something in there that sparked an idea, then in a sense he'd nick that idea from someone else, and so he's got to be very careful. And I think in a similar way to us, I mean, the one episode I wrote had no story, but I knew a bloke who had a tank. So, so I went, oh my God, so we could use the tank. So my entire episode was built around the bloody tank, which features in it for about 35 seconds, but it was quite cool to go riding around in a Russian tank. It did 4 gallons to the mile, that tank. Yeah, it was very environmentally aware. Yes, no, it's a good question though. Yeah, there are lots basically.
Hi. Since your career started with the Joeys right till now, what in your career have you loved, hated and regretted?
Oh my God. Oh. God, it's difficult to know. I mean, because, well, there was certainly a thing that I've realised the last couple of years talking to mates that I grew up with or came into sort of showing off with, that when we were younger, when I first started, we used to exaggerate how long we'd been doing performing to show off. So when I'd been doing, like, the Joeys was a performance group, a comedy group I was in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, and when I'd been doing it, we'd been doing it for like 18 months, and I said, yeah, we've been touring for like 3 years, yeah. And it hadn't been, and now what I do is I go, well, I've been doing this stuff for the last 20 years, and then you go 30, 40. So you're now doing it the other way around. You're trying to shrink what you've been doing. But I mean, the Joeys was an amazing experience because it became very popular without being on the TV. So we would fill theatres, and we'd never done any telly. And with the only TV that the Joeys really ever did was Newsnight, bizarrely, which was very odd. And so we didn't. And when that imploded, I then went and made the worst sitcom that Channel 4 have ever put out. It was truly abysmal. And this is many years ago, but the then boss of Channel 4, who I'm actually seeing again in a few weeks, I haven't seen him for a long time, but he once threatened to repeat The Corner House. It was called The Corner House. I hope nobody... Did anybody see The Corner House? Did you? Wasn't it brilliant? I mean, it was one of the best sitcoms ever. Thank you. But he threatened in the foyer of Channel 4, he said, do you know what, I've been thinking about repeating The Corner House. I went, no! He said, you get a repeat it, I don't want it! So it wasn't a huge success, to be fair. So that was a bit of a downer. So for the year before I started working on Red Dwarf, I'd been a cyclist courier in London, delivering packages and packages. What cyclist couriers carry, best not to ask. Sometimes it's a script or some photographs. Sometimes it's a little brown envelope that's squashy. Can you take this to the office on the 4th floor in Soho Square? Yeah, okay. There's a bloke there going, oh, thanks. And he immediately went to the toilet. I have no idea why. So that was slightly dodgy. But yeah, so I've been doing so, and what was weird was I was delivering things to companies that 6 months earlier had been working for me for the production company I was running. So that was an interesting career shift. So that was difficult, and then almost not doing Red Dwarf because I almost said no because I was commissioned to write a sitcom for Channel 4 about a robot I'd done a play in Edinburgh, so it was so close to not doing it. It was quite bizarre. And I do want to go back to myself in 1987 or 88. Well, I can't remember when it was. Early '88 when I first met Rob and Doug. Anyway, a year in the 80s it was. I want to find myself outside when I've just been to the meeting and just go, just say yes, you fucking idiot! I don't know, it's a difficult decision to make because I've got my own sitcom. I don't know if I want to do something. You fucking shut up! So I'm very, very grateful that I said yes because it was... and it was, I mean, genuinely, at that stage, the series 3 of Red Dwarf was the first one I was in, was the last series. That was its official designation, and we had a party at the end of, so that was in 1988, wasn't it? 89, I don't know when it was, 89. And we had a party at the end, which was the rap party, and everybody who'd been in Red Dwarf came along, and it was all lovely and wonderful, and I thought, wow, that was a brilliant thing, I really enjoyed doing that. Thank God I don't have to do it again, from all the rubber. That was 1989. OMG. But since then, it's just been a glorious rocket into mega-stardom. I've got to tell you my fabulous celebrity red carpet moment, which was when I went to a movie premiere, which I very rarely do. I can't remember why I was there, and there was a proper red carpet, and there were all the proper paparazzi blokes taking pictures, and in front of me was a woman in a string vest. I'm not lying, it was summer. It wasn't Newcastle. She had a string vest on, very high heels, and I guess one of those things that women can wear that don't cover a lot, but anyway, I don't even know. I'm too old. And she was walking in front of me, and of course all the people, they were taking pictures of this young woman, who was the sister of a man who had been on Big Brother. That was who she was. I found out later. And she had to adjust her shoe, as you do when you're on a red carpet and you're in a string vest. So she was doing a bit of the old adjusting the shoe thing. And all the paparazzi, this was 10, 15 years ago. And then one of them turned around and he went, oh, hello, Robert. And he turned his zoom lens round and took pictures of me literally like that. So behind him, how you doing? You all right? And those were my glamorous red carpet. Thank you. Oh no, there's one more. I've got to tell you this one, but I'm going to first remember his name. His first name's Robert. His second name, he was in a film called a sitcom called My Family and many other things.
Robert Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, so I'm walking up This has blown the whole story. I'm walking up the red carpet like that going, no one ever takes pictures of me, it's fine, I don't care, not a problem. Robert! Oh, fucking hell, it's happened! Next thing I feel is the lovely bouncer very gently just put his hands on my shoulder and moved me to one side as Robert Lindsay walked past. That was the stunning apex of my celebrity. There's got to be some paparazzi bloke's got pictures of me going, ha, and then, oh. I've kept that speeding ticket I got in a Prius. Now that takes guts. And it was taken at night in roadworks where there was a 30-mile-an-hour limit and I was doing 35 like a crazy teenager. And it's me like that. So that must be my expression when I'm driving. It goes ching, chum. It's so cool. Oh! Right in the bush. I wrote and said it was my wife driving. Any other? Have you got one?
There's a question at the back right there.
Hi there.
Hello.
Basically, obviously, we're all here because we think Red Dwarf's fantastic. But when did you guys know that it was going to be the big thing that it's turned out to be now?
I don't know. I mean, I think it took probably quite a while. I think when I joined, so they'd done 2 series when I joined, and I'd seen like 2 or 3 episodes of it because I was basically working at night. So and we didn't have iPlayer or didn't really have anything. I had a thing at home you had to wind up to watch the telly. And I'd seen quite a few episodes, but I'd never seen the episode Crichton, so I didn't know what that entailed. Jesus, if I'd seen that, it might have been a different story. I think it was sort of after, I reckon sort of between series 4, 5, 6, by that stage we went, oh my God, this thing's crazy, you know. And it was always slightly different for me because if I went out for lunch or something with Craig or Chris or Dan and walked down the street, everyone was looking at them and pointing or coming up and saying hello, and that didn't happen to me. It was great. I was very happy. I just wanted to point that out. It was great. I lived in complete obscurity, caught the bus, caught the tube, and I once made Chris get the tube when we'd done some work somewhere and we were going to the BBC, I think, and I said, let's get on the tube now. Probably not a good idea. And I went, no, it's fine, come on, it'll take 10 minutes. And we were waiting on the platform, and in that time, Chris was just hassled constantly by fans coming out and talking to him and stuff. And that never happened to me. Then they realised that I was the old bloke with the rubber head. And then but I think around that time we kind of knew that it was big. And certainly when I first went to a convention in America with Craig, which would have been in the early 90s, I had no idea what a convention was. I'd never been to one, didn't know. We went to a Trek Dwarf convention in Chicago, which I thought would be sort of this scale. I kind of imagined it like this, and there was 15,000 people there over the weekend in this massive convention. And to be fair, possibly, slightly the majority were Trekkies. Okay, I'll give you that, because Leonard Nimoy was there, and George Takei. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? That's George Takei signing autographs. Oh, George, when you were in episode 6, what happened to that? Isn't that interesting? He's a lovely man. I love George Takei. He might, yes. So, did you see all the rumours that George Takei is going to stand for president for the next election? I'd become an American citizen and vote for George. So then, I think by the sort of mid-90s, it was very obvious that it was quite popular. You know. A guy who lives in my village who's very posh, who may feature very slightly in the documentary I'm just making, once referred to it as that red thing you do. My daughter has been watching that red thing you do. Apparently she said it's quite amusing. Just so you know, so I've just spent the last 2.5 years, not constantly every day, to making a documentary for the BBC called, I don't know what it's called, it keeps changing its title. Anyway, which is about all my, what Craig calls Bobby's battery stuff, which is the subtext of which is just boring, don't even listen. But it's about a community renewable energy project in the village I live in, and you can now all know what the village. I used to keep it quiet, pointless. So I live in a village called Templegate in Gloucestershire, and we've been spending the last 2.5 years to try and get solar panels on barns and things to generate electricity in the village that's owned by the people in the village. And it goes out on around the May the 17th. They haven't quite decided on the date. And so if you want to watch it, it's quite good. And it'll go on BBC Two in a shorter version if you don't want to watch the longer one. It's a 90-minute documentary, which seems bloody long. Some old bloke stumbling around the fields going, "Yeah, we could put a windmill up here, it'd be nice." There's quite a lot of footage like that. There's a great, I've just seen a still, I haven't seen it, but it's where someone in America was explaining how the battery chemistry works. And he's very animated and he's talking about it, and my face. But we went to Vegas and California to see what they're doing there, which is big. There's some amazing infrastructure, all renewable shit. I mean, when you go up a tower in the middle of the desert, and as far as you can see, literally up to the horizon, are parabolic stainless steel mirrors that heat water to 2,000 degrees centigrade and run generators and produce electricity 24 hours a day, and you go, that's different. It's not burning coal, you know, and it does the same thing. So, I mean, there's some interesting stuff in it. So some of it, you'll go, that's interesting. Then just turn it down and play music or listen to it or play on again. Oh, it's still going.
Okay, we've got one at the back here. Hi, Robert. Could I ask you about your makeup as Crichton? I've always thought it looks quite painful. Has it evolved since the early days? Is it different now to how it was in the beginning?
Yeah.
Do you have to have the same makeup artist every time? Have you got? Does it fall off during, production? Have you got any funny stories about the makeup?
No, it has evolved a great deal. So the first year I did it, 1989, took 5 hours in the morning, and it was made of foam, prosthetic foam. It's called. So it's very dense foam, rubbery stuff that stank, absolutely stank. And it was made in 2 pieces. So there was a face bit that came around like that and went down there, and then a back bit. So that, and to join those 2 together, the glue there, just all it did all day was split. So in between each take, there was a makeup, you go jab, 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 with the brush going in your neck, gluing it back together, and then you move, it'd break again, then jab, jab, jab. So that was quite hard. The eyes were really sore. The first time I ever put it on, which was when Danny and I shot the scene from Marooned, boom! Which an episode that Dan and I barely featuring. It was a brilliant episode, really one of the best ever. And he's making me pull him along on a sledge and going mush, mush, and I'm pulling him along. That was the very first shot I ever did on Red Dwarf, thinking, what the hell have I done? And my eyes at that point were glued open. So it was like a sort of torture scene from an SAS movie. I couldn't blink, that was it, because the makeup was so heavy on my eyes that it glued my eyelids up. And so that was quite bad. And I was going, I don't think I can blink. And they went, action! And there was a proper wind machine, which is a car engine with a propeller, blowing soap flakes at us that look like snow. So it's a blizzard. So Danny's going, mush, mush, like that, and I'm going, oh God, my eyes are foamed up! And there was foam running down my cheeks. And that was day 1, hour 1. So it has got a bit better, in fact. So that we've used that material for the whole time, so that required a head cast, which I was fine with until we did the head cast for the movie in 2001. I've had loads of head casts. So this is when you have your whole head encased in alginate that you have, when you have your teeth, like that stuff. That's minty. Quite nice, covered in it, very cool. Then about 3.5 tons of bloody plaster of Paris, very hot. And you're in that for about 25-30 minutes with a hole for your one nostril. Stay calm is the advice if you ever have that done. But if you want to cough in the middle of that, that's a bad idea. It is heavy, so it tends to pull your features down a bit. Not like terribly, but it does do it. So the mask has a kind of tendency to drag down on your face. So there's the latest mask that we used in that is the best fitting, goes on quickest, takes about 1 hour and 50 minutes, I think was the record to put it on. And when it was on, I was kind of unaware of it. And the big plus, which some people have commented on Twitter, was that I could eat with it on. So the first time I've ever been able to eat during making Red Dwarf, which meant I was so happy that I would eat my lunch and then nick some of Chris's chips and all of Danny's pie and Craig's left over, and I was just shoveling stuff in, because if I had a bit of curry sauce around the lips of the old mask, it was there for the rest of the time and they couldn't get it off, and they had to paint it all. It was vile and it tasted like you were sucking someone else's flannel. Not good. Whereas the new one, bit of a wet wipe, boom, done. It was fantastic. So often after lunch I'd be cut, because you can't really tell where the food's going. You know it's near your mouth. So there'd be, mayonnaise, curry sauce, one of Craig's chips stuck there. So I've really porked out during Red Dwarf this time. And some people said it looks like Crichton's downloaded one too many apps. A little bit cutting, really. The first time after Red Dwarf where I tried to lose weight. It was always a brilliant weight loss scheme, I think. But yeah, so it's much, much better now. And the new mask is made of silicone, so it's like the stuff you put around the bottom of the shower, that doesn't leak into the kitchen. We've got some of that, with buckets all over the kitchen.
Okay, Bobby, we've got our next question in the back middle here.
Very good.
Hi Robert, last time you were here you were about to pick up your new Tesla. I was wondering what your opinion was on the market value of Tesla now exceeding Ford and how your Tesla was.
Alright, wait a minute. What my opinion is on what the second-hand market value of Teslas?
No, the market value of Tesla now exceeds Ford.
Tesla the company?
Yeah.
It's barking mad, isn't it? Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it is amazing, yeah. So for those of you who are sensible and have fulfilled the proper lives and don't know about the market value of Tesla, No, it's good. It's good. I'm very good. Globally, Tesla is one of the smallest car companies in the world, and it's valued greater than Ford and General Motors. So it's like, I think it's probably, I don't know anything about markets and things, possibly a little overvalued, but it has such potential. So, and for those who don't know, Tesla is an American car company not set up by, but now fronted and led by a man called Elon Musk, who is a bit of a space age hero. He's going to go and live on Mars. Good luck to him. And yeah, so I drive a Tesla. It was my wife's fault. Some of you may have heard the story before, but it is absolutely true. Both our children in Australia, both had part-time jobs. One was going to leave the coffee shop because it was awful and I'm really bored. And my son didn't want to do that anymore. It's really gay, I hate it. And Dad sent some money for the rent. And my wife, who is very, very supportive of her wonderful children, got angry and said, for goodness sake, get off your asses and get a job and work here, pay your own rent. Your father's worked hard enough for you. I should be doing an Australian accent, but that wouldn't be fun. Your father's worked hard enough for you all his life. And this is the crucial quote. This was on a double, what do you call it, Skype call. Your father's worked hard enough for you all your life, and he deserves a Tesla. And I was watching up. Got her iPad out and ordered it straight away. But, it's basically my pension is now in the form of a very nice electric car. But we film it a lot, and I don't own it. I lease it, so it will eventually be taken away from me, along with all the money, and I will just cry. But no, I've got my name down for a Model 3, which is the much more sensible and slightly cheaper version of the Tesla, which I think we won't get here till 2019, realistically, but at some point. Yes, but I've been to the factory and they make, in fact in the documentary on BBC we see the installation of the first 40 megawatt hour battery grid backup system in California, which is, for me, a massive thrill. For most people, why is he standing in the middle of the desert with a load of white boxes? Perfectly fair criticism. But yeah, they are doing remarkable things. Solar tiles for your roof, batteries for your house. I'm having a battery fitted in my house quite soon. That is powered by the solar panels. Anyway, I won't talk about that now, because I could bore you senseless. It'd be quite fun if I just splurted all about renewable energy and batteries and just see how many people actually fall asleep. One in the second row. It was a late night last night.
Okay, next one back here.
Hi Robert.
Hiya.
When is your next book coming out? Because
thank you.
I read your trilogy and my girlfriend read The Man in the Rubber Mask and I kind of wanted to know when the next book is coming out.
well, hopefully soon. I will just... Oh, look, what's this here? I wrote a trilogy, that's the first one. I've got some here if you want them, but there's no pressure. And also I haven't got very many because I thought I had loads and other people bought them. Sorry, so I didn't order more. So I wrote 3 books with this amazing publisher. That's the U for Unbound, which is a crowd-funded publishing thing that's been really successful. And I think I was number 4. I was the 4th, no 5. I beg your pardon, I lied and exaggerated. That's book number 5 that they did, so really early on in their life. They've now done like 250 books. And I've got a book on Unbound at the moment that was going to be a political, satirical vision of this country in 80 years' time. So sort of in the near future, where London had split off from the rest of the country as an independent city-state, and London was this sort of hyper-capitalist free market jungle of cruelty and brutality, and the rest of the country was a benign sort of Corbynite, dusty, broken down socialist utopia. And then Brexit happened. And I literally printed out the manuscript that I'd written so far, about 20,000 words, and ripped the shit out of it. Because I just went, I don't know what I'm talking about, this is absolute bollocks, and I've lost the plot. And so I've apologised to the people who supported that book on Unbound and said I'm writing a comic autobiography and sort of philosophical mumblings, which at the moment is titled Some Old Bloke. And the reason for that is a recent Christmas my son drew a very, I think it's fair to say, accurate caricature of his dad with a tragic Christmas hat on, and he called it Some Old Bloke. That was his father. Yes, not my father, or a tribute to my father, who would help me so much, but it was called Some Old Bloke. Oh, so there it is. Yeah, so Some Old Bloke is the next book, and I'm sort of in the middle of writing it. And if you want to support it, it's had a new supporter. Yes, you can. So it was 362 last time yes! So if you go to Unbound, if you look up Unbound books and me, you'll find it. Because it's still, if you can see up there, because the original book was called Josh Joshy, and it's still called that. They haven't changed it. I have begged. But yeah, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. So it's not, so I wrote the book Man in the Rubber Mask about Red Dwarf. This is really not about Red Dwarf, it's about everything else, but it's quite fun and hopefully amusing. I've read a bit, it's always, your best critic is always someone who knows you quite well. So I read a bit out to my wife who said, that bit was quite funny. No, let me tell you, that must be, it is hysterically brilliant. If she says that's quite funny. So yeah. So if you are interested, please do pledge to it. And then you get a lovely signed book and all that. And I don't think it doesn't cost you money now. If I never reach 100%, your money leaves your account until it actually reaches that point. And then you can cancel it and say, no, don't, please. But it has been very successful up to now. So what am I at? 64%. If you're looking at it as well, and you've got youngish children, my wife has also launched a book on Unbound called, oh God, I can't do this. I forget the title. I've done this live on radio in Australia with an old mate of Judy's who is a radio DJ, and she said, oh, what's Judy's book called? And there's this horrible silence. And of course, guess who sent her the audio file to my wife within minutes of it going out? Ursula and Banderas. Boom! Memory Man. It's a beautiful, my wife writes beautiful prose. It's absolutely exquisite book, and it's about a little girl in the British Civil War when the country was divided. And her adventures with a massive wolfhound who dribbles and whose penis leaks, no doubt, a bit like the dog we've got. So it's based a bit on a vile, great creature that shoves his head right in my face when I'm trying to eat a sandwich. Get off! Get off! So affectionate. He will feature, he does, I've seen a little sequence, he features in the best reason to watch the BBC documentary is because of Joey. Because everyone who comes to the door, he trots up to them, wagging his tail, and rams his head between their legs straight away. As those dogs always do. So there's some people who don't really, they're not dog people, they don't know about that, and they come in, oh, hello, and they've cut a sequence where everyone that arrives at the door gets the Joey nose treatment. Including my 97-year-old auntie. Auntie Peggy. She got a bit of a surprise. She seemed quite happy.
Next one over here.
Hi, Robert. We've seen the vacuum cleaner and we've seen the whisk. If you could have any groinal attachment, what would it be?
I don't know. I quite like drilling. You know, if it was a very high-speed diamond-tipped, like masonry drill, not like wood. That's too soft. Imagine if you sort of unravelled it and went through concrete. That would be quite good fun. It would be quite good fun. I don't know. Yes, it's too. See. So, although I must admit, I actually loved stirring tea with it. That was disgraceful. I've just remembered. The time you witnessed a makeup incident, didn't you? Do you remember? Yes, you do. It's probably. So every now and then during the makeup process, mistakes can happen. I mean, one of them in the first series was when they were cutting the mask off at the end of a very long hot day, and they used like little makeup, and they were just cutting as much rubber off as quickly as they could to cool me down. And one of the scissors just took the top of that ear off. It wasn't a big deal, just a snip. And what happens when you're very hot and your ears or your head? A lot of blood. Lots of blood. So it looked much better. In fact, it was like a little nick. It didn't hurt a bit. There's a little groove on the top of the ear. But on the day that... now, could you just remind me of your name? Torry. When Torry came to visit the set, and he was, being shown around, oh, it's wonderful, meet the cast. And then he comes to the door of the makeup room, and there is an insane, ranting robot stomping around, swearing and kicking things. Because it was not your fault. But I felt very ashamed. Because I think that particular day, Andrea, who's a makeup woman on the show for many years and was brilliant, unfortunately was slightly distracted at a point. She was doing some delicate glue work around the nasal area, and she shoved the glue brush up my nose. And gentlemen of a certain age will verify that at a certain point in your life, you develop nasal hair. And so I had this glue brush hanging out of my nose. That glue is strong stuff. It's not like wishy-washy copy decks, it's proper UKIP glue, it doesn't let go. So she then went, oh, hang on a minute. She just whipped it out. It had some extra tufts on after that brush. And that was the moment that Torry walked in, and it was very, very bad. I'm very sorry, Torry. I feel deep shame for that moment. Normally, I'm quite well behaved, but that day was a bad day.
We've got time for one more question. Has anyone got a question?
There's someone down here. There's some pointing.
What's the most embarrassing moment of your career?
You need to lie down with a nice pillow because it's a very, very long list. There was a moment, I suppose that was quite embarrassing, quite funny though. I mean, there's been lots and lots. But one was the last day of filming, it must be Series 7, which we filmed in the summer, because normally we make Red Dwarf in the winter because it's so hot in the studio that I can then go outside in the cold and cool down, which is nice. But we made one series in the summer, and we were filming outside. We were filming the final bits of the episode about the Kennedy assassination. Ticket to Ride, wasn't it? Thank you. Couldn't quite remember that episode, which I loved. That was a favourite episode. I thought it was a brilliant episode. And it was very, very hot, and we were filming outside on a set that was in the outside of the studio, not in the building. And I was sitting in the shade with my rubber head on, but only my hands, and some black socks. That's not a good look. If you want to go outside in the daytime in a pair of pants and black socks and a rubber head, it doesn't look good. And I was sitting in the shade with my hands in buckets of icy water to cool down, because we'd just been shooting stuff, and Craig and Dan and Chris were mucking about, and it was funny, and we had a great time. And then Helena Bonham Carter in a beautiful, looking stunning, in a beautiful it was a she was doing a World War I drama, and she had that and the lovely hat, and her hair was beautiful. She looked stunning, with lovely makeup, and she loved Red Dwarf, and she came to meet us all, and she was filming in the next studio. Oh, hello! And then I stand up and go, oh, hello. That was embarrassing. Never go. Whatever happens in your adult life, never go out in the street. Black socks, black underpants, rubber head. Just don't do it. That's a good bit of advice. But yeah, there's been lots of embarrassing. Another one more recently. We went to Las Vegas and I interviewed the mayor of Las Vegas. The mayor of Las Vegas in front of the town hall that said in huge letters, Las Vegas City Hall. Las Vegas City Hall. It's right there, right in front of me. The mayor comes up. She's a lovely woman in her 70s. She's been the mayor of Las Vegas. She's very popular. And I say to her, oh, thank you so much for welcoming us to Los Angeles. We were really excited to be here. Because we'd just driven from Los Angeles, which is quite a long way away, but that was embarrassing. She was very nice though. She sent us a message wishing us well, but we're slightly worried, wishing us well, and also the concrete overshoes will be arriving in the post. There's her husband, who passed away, was the mayor of Los Angeles. Los Angeles, no! He was the mayor of Vegas before she was, and his character features in one of those. Robert De Niro. I was looking down here, you all know the name of the movie. Robert De Niro in a movie about Las Vegas and the casino. So he features as a character in Casino. So he knew all those dudes back in the day. But the city of Las Vegas is now 100% renewably powered. I just thought I'd say that. The city. It's very important not to confuse the city with the urban conurbation of the entire Las Vegas, but the city is now powered by 100% renewable energy. With 1.4 billion LED bulbs, they're changing old bulbs to LED bulbs, which will save the city 20% in its electricity consumption. They've got quite a few bulbs. When you look at it all, you go, yeah, that's a lot, yeah, that's a lot. And there are people whose full-time job is like, put them down there, put that one in there. They'll be doing it for about 3 years. So anyway, I should shut up now.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, Bobby. So if everyone would like to give Robert a big round of applause.